في أكبر الكتب.
Congratulations, you have found the Lambcast, the official podcast of the large association of movie blogs, also known as the Lamb. The Lamb is the largest collective of online movie blogs and podcasts with 2,000 members and counting. Every week on the Lambcast, various members of the Lamb community get together to talk about our favorite subject, movies. So bookmark the Lamb and follow us on social media. Be sure to join us each week to hear a lively discussion of films and movie-related talk from our members. Join the flock at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lambcast. I'm your host, Richard Kirkham of Kirkham, a Movie a Day, and this is episode 795. Between October 1st and December 31st, 2025, there were at least 146 movies that got some kind of theatrical release in the U.S. Only 4 of these got a Lambcast episode devoted to them. That means there's a lot of cinema product that we didn't get a chance to cover. And this week's episode is dedicated to the baby tomato from Mia Wallace's Fox Force 5 joke. In other words, it's time to catch up. Joining me this week are 4 lambs who don't want you to be blindsided by a movie in the crush of the end of the year's releases. Howard Casner has the good taste to avoid a lot of movies, so what he usually sees is worth talking about. Welcome, Howard.
Well, thank you. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I'll take it.
I'm always willing to pass out the hyperbole compliments to my guests, hoping that they'll come back. David Brook is not limited to U.S. release schedule, being from Great Britain, but that also means that there may be films that we talk about that haven't even opened there yet. Sorry about that, David.
No worries. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I've come up with this episode.
And MovieRob sees way too many films every day.
That's not true.
So I have no idea how he'll contain himself to just a few for this podcast. He's already threatened me with 12. But we're glad to see you, Rob. Thanks for joining us.
Forget about making this a podcast that we'll always remember. Let's make this a podcast that they'll always remember.
All right. And Todd Liebenow may have future forgotten films that he saw this fall. So let's spoil his inventory for the future and talk about them now. Glad to have you with us, Todd.
Merry New Year! I couldn't resist. I have to do my Trading Places reference here since we're so close to New Year's.
It's okay. At least it wasn't a Festivus reference.
Yeah, no.
All right.
No, we did watch that episode on Christmas Day in my house, so that was appropriate.
We'll have plenty of time for the airing of grievances later. Well, folks,
I may have some about some of the films that come up.
Think is going to be a little difficult online.
There'll always be grievances somewhere. Believe me. Isn't that what Facebook is for? Airing of grievances? It's like it eliminated the need for that holiday. Well, we're going to just go around in a round robin discussion. So there's no pineapple kiosk rule. Whenever a film gets mentioned first, that's when we're going to talk about it. And we're looking for people to talk about maybe no more than 5 films, but we can play it by ear as we're looking at the time at the end of the show. Let's avoid major spoilers, and since there are a lot of these movies will be on people's plate for the next few weeks, we don't want to give away too much. Rob, we're going to start with you. What's a film that you saw here in the last 3 months that you wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about here on the Lambcast?
Okay, my guess is that none of you, or probably most of the people listening, have heard of any of the 5 movies that I will be talking about today. 5+ movies that I'll be talking about today. So I'm just going to throw out movies and try to convince people that it's something that they should try to seek out. I'm avoiding all the awards type movies. I'm looking for good, enjoyable movies that are probably not on most people's radars. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to talk about is a movie called Soul on Fire, which came out in October. Now, any of you heard of that?
Nope.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
Okay. So again, I'm not going to give away too much about this, but it's a movie that is based on a true story about a 9-year-old boy in the 1980s that literally plays with fire and burns himself. This is something that happens within the first few minutes, so we can't, it's not a spoiler. And it's the idea of how he deals with his life from that point onward in order to try to survive. And he has his father and a local hero, a baseball announcer, uh, played by William H. Macy. He plays Jack Buck from he was
Oh, yeah, yeah.
St.
Mhm.
Louis Cardinal play-by-play man. And again, it's just such a heartwarming story that talks about how people get over adversaries, uh, with the help of others, family and friends and strangers. And it's a great film. I was just about to cry at the end of the movie because it was just so emotional the way that they impacted this story.
Well, I know
Again,
that.
I can't give away too many spoilers. So I can't tell you
Sure.
more.
I'll tell you how I know about this film. I saw a trailer for it playing at the theater, and it was a Fathom event, so it was only special screenings. And I think it was one of those faith-based films that they do with the Fathom events on a pretty regular basis. I think I saw the trailer a couple of times. I didn't go to the film. It, like I said, probably had a limited presentation, maybe a couple of screenings on a Sunday and a couple of screenings on a Wednesday. That's typically what they do. So that's
Right.
why I've missed it. But it sounds very intriguing.
It really is. It's great. And again, it's based on a true story, and it's we also know from the beginning that the boy survives because we see him as an adult looking back at his at the
T
accident and everything that happened.
Telling
So
his story,
that's not
so to
really
speak. Yeah.
yeah, telling his story, but it's an amazing journey that we're taking through with that.
Well, I'm
So
sure it'll be available someplace here in the not too distant future because that's one of those subjects in the genre of film that gets very popular online.
yeah,
So
exactly. It won't be nominated for anything in any of the award things, but again, that no longer means anything at this point. You got to try and find the diamonds in the rough and the gems
I
that are
gotcha.
that are lying on the side.
Gotcha. Todd, have you got a diamond in the rough or a gem that you wanted to talk about?
I don't know about that. I didn't set out to highlight things that were necessarily the best of the best. I'm just going with things that I've seen recently, and a lot of it is kind of some of the bigger mainstream stuff.
Sure.
So let's go with what I saw yesterday at the theater. I went to see Anaconda,
Ah, right.
and I mean it's fine. It's a perfectly enjoyable goofy comedy. I love the idea of it, just that, rather than just doing, a new version of Anaconda, the premise is that you've got two guys that actually it comes down to four people, but centers mainly on Paul Rudd and Jack Black as these guys that were friends through high school, and they used to make their own little movies. And one of them is a frustrated actor living in Hollywood. The other one stayed home in Buffalo and makes wedding videos and has bigger aspirations, but just you know can't step away from the family responsibilities and things like that to try and pursue it. And they just decide, hey, yeah, let's do it. We're gonna remake one of our favorite movies, Anaconda, and they head out to the Amazon to do that. Um, given the fact that we live in an age where anybody with a phone can make a movie, and as long as you slap a shark in it or put Amityville in the title, you can get it on Amazon Prime. Uh, but you know, there's a lot of fun to be had. I'm not going to say that all the jokes land. I think I was there in pretty much a full audience yesterday, and people were laughing well enough, but there were also a number of moments that kind of fizzled. But for the most part, it lives up to what you expect. It's poking fun at this 90s giant snake movie, and you've got Jack Black and Paul Rudd at the helm on that kind of stuff. So it's certainly entertaining enough. It kind of it gave me a bit of a feeling like when I went to see The Naked Gun this past summer. Now, I think The Naked Gun is much better, but there's still just kind of that joy of going to see a silly comedy in the theater again. Most of these type of things are getting relegated to the streaming services now. So, this was a fun way to spend an hour and a half on a Saturday afternoon, even if it's not maybe the greatest comedy of the year.
Christmas goofball counter programming.
Exactly.
Yeah, I gotcha. And that's exactly the way I'm looking at it. I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list probably sometime tomorrow or Wednesday. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on at the holiday season, and you got to find time to plug in some of those things. But that's one that's on my list for sure. Uh,
Well, Todd, you got me thinking about wanting to see it until you told me that the Naked Gun is better. So
Oh, you didn't like The Naked Gun?
not the remake. The remake had
Oh,
a
That's
few
it.
good moments in it, but it doesn't hold a candle to the original. Nothing you
I,
can do
I
about
mean, it
that.
doesn't hold a candle to the original. Sure, I'll give it that, but I think The Naked Gun um, did quite well for me.
Yeah, yeah, I enjoyed it.
worked for you. And I'm sure that this new Anaconda can't possibly be fantastic because John Voight's not in it.
There are plenty of references to John Voight though, so I was happy about that.
David, what have you seen in the last 2 or 3 months that you think maybe you want to spend some time talking about?
Yeah, well, I want to talk about one that I kind of thought might come up on some other people's lists, but we shall see. And that is Sisu Road to Revenge.
All right.
Um,
Yes, that is on my list too. So I'm
It's
happy to
on
talk
my
about
list.
that.
Yeah, no, it's
yeah,
on my
so
list of wanting to see.
oh yeah, no, so
Yeah.
it's the sequel to well Sisu, which is they're both Finnish films by Jalmari Helander. And I'm contractually obliged to watch any Finnish film that comes to the UK because my wife is Finnish. But to be honest, I didn't need an excuse to come and watch this because Sisu was a whole lot of fun, and I'd heard great things about its sequel. And yeah, it did not disappoint. So it's a very, very, very simple film. It is about the guy who he never really speaks. And I'm trying to remember his name, but according to IMDb, he's called Artemi Korpi, who's played by Jorma Tommila, and yeah, he's a guy who we saw killing lots of bad guys in the last film, and he at the start of the film he's returning to his family house, which is in an area of Finland. Oh, I know this. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's named. It's got these pies have the same name. Karelia, yeah, Karelia. It's the Karelian region of Finland that had been taken over.
Corellian? That sounds like Han
I
Solo.
was going to say
Yeah,
Han
yeah,
Solo. That's Han Solo's home
yeah.
planet.
I always remember because it's the Karelian pies are these little pasty things eaten in Finland that are amazing. But anyway, but yeah, so he used to live in that region of Finland, but that region got taken over by the Russians. They took that region over. But he returns there. I find it strange at the start of the film. They seem to just allow him to go in there, which surprised me. But I guess they must allow people to go and get their stuff or whatever. But he goes back to get his house, and he literally dismantles his house to put it onto his truck, and then heads back into Finland to take his home and have a rebuild his life. But it's never going to be that simple, isn't it? Is it? So yeah, the Russian authorities send Stephen Lang, the actor Stephen Lang, who's playing Yegor Dragunov, some kind of badass Russian guy, to stop him, and that is it. The film is just basically just Stephen Lang trying to stop Jorma Tommila from getting across the border.
I'm
And
just gonna jump in with one quick correction here.
oh, okay,
Stephen
sorry.
Lang's character is actually a Nazi war criminal that the Soviets have captured, and he's the Nazi war
Ah,
criminal who's responsible for decimating our hero's family.
family. Yes, yes, yes. That is true. That is true.
And so they're basically turning him loose because they don't want any Finnish heroes. They want to eliminate the legend of this Finnish guy, even though they don't have any other squawk against him that I can tell. It's not like the Russians were fighting the Finns, and he's trying to repatriate the Anschluss acquisition of this part of Finland.
Hmm.
They've just decided it's like a PR thing. We can't let that happen.
Yeah, yeah. So they're just trying to kill him for PR, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
they give him resources to do it. So plenty of resources, which means, of course, that there's going to be a lot of grisly death on screen.
yeah, absolutely. And this really, what this film is all about in comparison to the first film, because the first film is brutal, it is very violent, but it's quite close quarters violent. There's lots of stabbing, shooting, and lots of blood and gore. But this ups the ante, like you say, he's got more. They've got more resources to send at this guy. So you're getting airplanes trying to bomb him. You're getting tanks. You're getting all sorts, and it's just all hell breaks loose. And for me, I think I preferred this second one. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's but it is a very 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 silly film. There's no logistical sense in anything that happens. Some of the physics on there are questionable. Um, but God, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I did find because the first film, I enjoyed the first film a lot too, but I found it a little too. It was a bit unpleasantly nasty at times. It's so like kind of violent. I mean, this is violent, and the last half hour is pretty gruesome as well. But this has more kind of over the top, crazy, explosive kind of stuff going on, which really plays into my wheelhouse. I'm a big fan of 80s and 90s kind of trashy action movies where everything blows up, and this kind of fed fueled my fire really. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. I don't know about yeah, Richard. I don't know what your thoughts were on it.
Yeah, I like the movie quite well. The original Sisu is was one of my favorite films of that year. I think I had it on my list someplace, number 7 or 8 for the year. I enjoyed it so much. I'm a sucker for revenge films, and
Mm.
this is, you're not just taking out revenge on one person, you're taking out revenge on dozens of people, and and so that means that you get to enjoy it over and over and over again. And of course, in the first one, he's basically discovered gold and he's trying to hold on to it. And this one, he's trying to hold on to his life, his memories from the past. And you're right. Obviously, the kinds of things that happen to this guy, surviving them is not really possible. Nobody can
No.
hold their breath as long as this guy can. Nobody can survive an explosion as much as this guy encounters. You know, you can't get beaten by somebody with the violence that is imposed on him and stay conscious, much less find a way to escape and then carry out some more punishment on people. But nobody cares about any of the physics. Nobody cares about the logistics of this. All we want is our hero to dismember and cream everybody else. And Stephen Lang, of course, is a reprehensible human being. Every time they put him on screen, they give him more backstory to make him seem even more repulsive, so that when he gets his comeuppance, it's going to be so satisfying. And and along the way, we get a whole bunch of other people who are mauled. And
Cannon fodder.
I've said it before about those movies like Final Destination. There may be something wrong with me that I enjoy watching people be dismembered this way. I mean, I would certainly not enjoy watching it in reality, but as a film, bring it on. Well, Howard, it's up to you to get us off of the trash train and maybe something that is a little bit more worthwhile, or have you just got more trash for us?
Well, I want to see Sisu 2 too. So, okay. So my choices tend to be those that were Oscar bait, some of which still are, and some that have fallen by the wayside. As I said, the Oscar gods giveth and they taketh away. So I guess I'll start with Jay Kelly, which was the film by Noah Baumbach about a actor going through an existential crisis. Um, the best thing about it is Adam Sandler. He's incredible here. He was supposed to get an Oscar nomination, but now he's number 6 on the list.
Mm.
And Benicio del Toro seems to have taken his spot, so we'll have to wait and see. It's a tough year when it comes to acting. It was directed by Noah Baumbach, written by Baumbach and Emily Mortimer. I think the reason why it has fallen by the wayside now is even though everybody was saying it's going to get all these nominations, including George Clooney, it opened and the central character is very boring and interesting and dull. he doesn't think he is, and nobody around him thinks he is, but he is. And it's hard to see why anybody, uh, is that interested in him, except as an actor, but as a human being. He's supposed to be this great actor that everybody thinks was one of the great influences on cinema, yet he tends to make these action films like Mission Impossible. He's his children's biggest plane, he was never around, yet every time the movie is all about him trying to connect with his children. I'm going, I think you need to make up your mind about how to dramatize this. So in the end, it's not exactly boring, but Jay Kelly, the character, is just not interesting enough to carry the film.
I haven't seen it yet. I've been wanting to. When the trailers came out, I was like, "Oh, Sandler looks like he's the most interesting part about this movie." So it sounds like that was
He
correct.
is.
And I mean, I definitely am intrigued to see what happens if he does get a nomination because I mean, if there's somebody that has been snubbed a couple times in recent years, it is Adam Sandler.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw it. I also was not a fan of the movie at all. I thought it was uh I how do I put this nicely? Uh, the
You don't
character,
have to be nice about it.
I know, but as Howard said, the character of Jay Kelly is really boring. But also most of what he does is very boring. Again, Adam Sandler is the standout there, but um, I, he's still not able to outshine the star power of George Clooney, who just helps make everything boring. That was the problem that I had with it.
I
That
mean, he's
as
a
much as
real,
I wanted to like what Sandler was doing. It's hard to say, okay, well, you know, because he's still in the shadow of this really boring guy.
yeah, I mean,
And
Jay Kelly's also a real big asshole, and that's fine. I have no problem
yeah,
with an asshole being the
no,
center of a movie, but he has to be an interesting one. He can't be a boring one.
exactly.
If you
Yeah,
want boring
and I
assholes,
was
there are
really
plenty of podcasts that are associated with the Lamb that you can listen to.
that's very true. No, but the thing also was is that I was very disappointed because I was expecting it to be a much better movie than it really was.
Yeah, everybody was. And then, as so happens at this time of year, things that are really pushed for the Oscar, they open and they say, oh, well, no,
Exactly.
don't think so.
Well, I haven't seen Jay Kelly. I did see Road to Revenge, so I'm 1 for 4 here that we've talked about, which is pretty good. Let me talk about something that we haven't covered yet and see if anybody else managed to get out to see it. Uh, and it's a little bit odd because it's not exactly a new movie, although it played in theaters. It's kind of a new movie because it's a revision of 2 older movies. I saw Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair.
Oh,
Oh, okay, how
I
is that?
so wanted to. I got
I've
sick
seen
and
that.
it didn't line up with my schedule.
So, it's basically Tarantino's primary vision of what the film was supposed to be before he was either convinced or forced or resigned to breaking it up into 2 parts back in 2003, 2004. And I never had a problem with it being broken up into 2 parts. In fact, I
No,
think that one of the best cliffhangers ever is David Carradine's last line in the movie that tells us that there is an important key point of the story for a 25-year-old film here, folks, 20-year-old film, that that the daughter is alive, the baby is alive that survived the bride's assassination attempt, and that made me want to see the second chapter immediately. But of course, I had to wait several months to do so. Here, it's just treated as another part of the story, so that line is cut out. And if you had never seen the film before, you wouldn't know that BB exists until you get to that last sequence with David Carradine, because there's really no reference to it whatsoever. Um, there are a few other changes like that too. I think there are a couple of additions to the House of Blue Leaves battle, short sequences of Yakuza getting killed, nothing that was essential.
well,
And
and is it all in color now? That's my understanding that
It's in
the
animation.
Well,
Well,
no,
no, no,
no. I
no.
mean the because in the original part one, part two version,
They jump
the
back and forth between.
the battle with the crazy 88s, they switched to black and white at one point.
Yeah.
And I from what I've heard, I haven't seen it, but in this version, it's all color. Is that correct?
My memory is that it was all color, that they didn't do the black and white thing. Uh, but there were so many other things that I was paying attention to. Now my memory is unclear.
Hmm.
So, like that's a surprise to anybody. Uh, but the main sequence that got added the most to it was the anime sequence with Oren's origin, because basically they increase it by about 60 to 70% and add a lot more anime sequence to that part of the story, which pads it out from, I think maybe the original must have been 3 or 4 minutes. It's now a 10-minute sequence at least.
Hmm.
And it's interesting. I think the original variation of it got to the point perfectly fine with great deal of efficiency. But if you like those kinds of things, you'll enjoy it. It's and apparently the world is full of people who like that kind of stuff because there's K-pop demon hunters and all that kind of stuff that everybody's enamored with. So they'll probably enjoy that addition. And then finally, there is a sequence that takes place after the credits. Uh, and of course, Tarantino does some of those things with the credits, like the transition slides that used to be in the theaters with the music, da 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 da, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So there's some of those things still in the film, and there's a little bit of that at the end, and then there's basically a final chapter, which is all an animatic version of another revenge story is coming after the bride, and it's all done in anime. And it's limited anime, but I think it looked pretty good, and it's also kind of fun. I think it's called The Last Chapter, or The Lost Chapter. I think that's how they
Oh,
refer
the
to
Lost
it.
Chapter. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
That's
Lost
that's the
Chapter.
part I saw. I've just seen the Lost Chapter. I haven't seen the rest of the redux of it all.
Yes. So it was a lot of fun, and I had just seen Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2 playing together in September. Hosted by Robert Rodriguez here at the Paramount. And he talked about the movies, and he mentioned a little bit about the film coming up. And I said, well, I'm going to go see it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I was also reminded that Robert Rodriguez's band did the music for Kill Bill
Right.
Volume 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was cool too. And I was listening to that more closely as it came up in the film. So if you are a Kill Bill fan, you definitely need to see it. And if you've never seen it, it's a different way of experiencing the story that I think will give you a kind of a different vibe about how things are playing out.
Yeah, I don't think it's playing in theaters anymore, at least not around me. It isn't. And I'm banking on that Lionsgate wouldn't have gone into an agreement to just release it for 2 weeks. I'm counting on there being a home release here soon. So
Well, I don't know. It's one of those things where wouldn't it be nice if it was special and they just did it kind of an annual thing and in theaters exclusively? But I understand sometimes you want something and you say, I gotta have it. I
yep.
gotta see it. I know what you mean. All right, Rob, we're back around to you. What's next on your list of things here at the end of the year that are worth talking about?
Okay, here's another movie that came out in mid-October that probably you've all missed, which is called I Swear. Has anyone ever heard of that?
I have heard of it. So it's quite big in the UK, although I haven't actually seen it.
Okay, so
I think wasn't
again,
there another one a couple of years ago? An I Swear
another movie
movie?
called I Swear.
Yeah.
Not related to this one.
Okay.
Definitely not
Uh,
related to this one. This is a standalone film.
Okay.
This is another biopic, which is a theme that's going to happen at least one more time on my list here, uh, of a boy that turns into a man that suffers from Tourette syndrome, and how his family basically doesn't want him because of it, because of the fact that for anyone who's not familiar, Tourette syndrome is a disease that or it's a condition, I guess you can say, where the people who have it uh, basically have absolutely no filter and just start swearing and saying things that they shouldn't be saying at certain points, and I mean they have no control over it. I mean it just happens. On a personal note, when I was a teenager, I actually knew a kid who had Tourette syndrome, and it was sometimes funny and sometimes very sad, depending on how you looked at it. Obviously, looking back, it was entirely sad. The fact that this kid would walk around and just start swearing, uh, and he had medication, which is something they also talk about in the movie, which makes it that you have like different tics. The side effects are that you have tics and that you make strange sounds as opposed to just swearing and stuff like that. But this movie was unbelievable. The way that it takes this true story and shows again how somebody overcomes an adversity and is able to use it to propel to change the world. I guess you could say. Let's just put it that way, without giving too much information out on the whole thing. But it was fascinating.
Well, I did encounter a couple of people in my years as a college instructor who had Tourette's, uh, and did have outbursts of sounds for the most part. There was an occasional word or phrase, but 90% of the time, what I was dealing with was, some sound or clicking or clucking or
Right,
growling kind of sound. So maybe they were on medication when they were doing this.
right. And I mean, the movie does also talk about the fact that the medication is not good for people to use.
Yeah.
That type of thing. But
It's a
yeah,
little tough. Well, it's
yeah.
interesting. I'm not sure why I was thinking there was that this was a musical film. There must have been
Well,
maybe.
when I searched for it, I'm looking everything up in Letterboxd as people go, and I found the film that Rob is talking about. There is another one called I Swear that is also 2025, which appears to be an Asian production of some sort. And then there's one that says I Swear and it's 2024, and that also appears to be a foreign film of some sort. So yeah, it looks like the title has been used a number of times in
Yeah.
the
Okay.
last year or so. Yeah.
Yeah, as
Wasn't
I
it
say,
like
this.
one of those teen bands songs? Oh no, no, sorry. It was Boys to Men, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. All right. Sorry, it's not. That's different type of music.
That's okay. Todd's our expert on all the boy bands from the 90s. So,
What? No, what?
Yeah, I was just going to add a little bit. Yeah, the I swear that Rob was talking about it hit number one in the UK. It's a British film, which helps. But yeah, it did pretty well. It's been in the cinemas for a while, kind of bringing in quite decent money for a British production. So yeah, it's a big one.
good deal.
So
Todd,
I recommend.
Todd, what's your recommendation going to be next?
Well, yeah, this one is a recommendation. This came and went really quickly back in October, and I think it deserves a lot more attention, and that's the musical version of Kiss of the Spider Woman. That like I said, came out in October. It stars Diego Luna. I don't know how to pronounce this other guy's name. Tonatia. That's
Oh yeah.
my best effort there. And Jennifer Lopez. And I have no background with the musical version here. Honestly, I haven't seen the '80s version that William Hurt won the Oscar for. I've got the DVD here. I just haven't watched it yet. But I really enjoyed this version. Especially the musical sequences I thought were really well done. This was directed by Bill Condon. And Jennifer Lopez in these musical sequences, I mean, she's essentially playing a what, like 1930s era star, and she just fits really well with the aesthetic that they're doing with these musical sequences. But this actor whose name I struggled to pronounce, Tia, I thought was excellent in the film, and I think had the film maybe gotten a bit more attention earlier in the year, he might be in the awards discussion. But I'm not hearing anybody talk about this movie. But I think it's a really interesting film, from a performance standpoint, from the production standpoint, with the staging, the musical numbers, and such. And it's one that truly fell under the radar for most folks.
Were you able to see it in a theater?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, because I did too, and I think it only played for a week. I mean, and when I
Well, it
say I
didn't
saw it
do
in a
well.
theater, I think I was the only person in the theater when I saw it, so it was not doing well. And Howard, I think we talked about this on one of the shows a couple of months ago when I did see it originally. Do you remember us talking about this?
No, I can't say I do. I haven't seen it. It didn't, it came and went here really, really quick. It only opened long enough to qualify for the Oscars, and then when it didn't do well at all, it went away. So I'm
Mm.
waiting for it to appear on streaming. It is one of those movies that everybody thought was going to do so well at the Oscars, and then it opened.
Yeah, I think the musical sequences are staged really well, and they're done in the style of the 30s and 40s
Right.
and 50s. I think
Yeah.
they do that really nicely, and those are the highlight parts of the movie. But I think the interaction between the two guys in the prison cell is also very good. Um, I tell you, he this actor that you've mentioned, whose name is difficult to pronounce, Tomitio, I can't even remember how to
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Um, he's playing the part that William Hurt played, and I think William Hurt had the advantage of playing it uh, very flamboyantly in 1985 and being able to get away with that. And it's much more subtle in this particular version of the film, even though it is a flamboyant character. And I think that that may be one of the things that undermines his performance, at least by comparison, because he doesn't get the chance. Well, because he plays it in a different era, so to speak, even though it is set in the same time period. It basically is. And by the way, I had mentioned Kiss of the Spider Woman earlier in the year as something that I was looking forward to. Somebody talked about the original film. I ordered on Laserdisc. I found it on eBay and watched it, the William Hurt version, and liked it quite well. So I was looking forward to the musical when it came out. And I'd never seen the musical. I was kind of flabbergasted that they turned it into a musical. I was
Yeah.
wondering
Yeah. It's
how they
one you
were going
don't
to do that.
expect.
Yeah, and I thought they did a pretty good job of it. It worked out much better than I expected. And Jennifer Lopez's part was much bigger than Sonia Braga's part in the original film.
Hmm.
David, in addition to Revenge, what else have you been watching?
I've watched all sorts. So I'm going to talk about now is The Secret Agent. So this is a film. It's had quite a bit of awards buzz. It won a couple of awards at Cannes. I think it's won several awards around the world, and it's kind of in the running for probably for best foreign language feature, I imagine. So yeah, it's a film by, oh my God, I don't know how to pronounce this. My Spanish is terrible. By Kleber Mendonça Filho. He's the guy. He did Aquarius, and he did, what's the other one? Bacurau. He's and Neighboring Sounds. So he's done a few other kind of clean films. And yeah, The Secret Agent is it's about a man called it's set in the late 70s in Brazil, and it's kind of centers around an academic called Armando, who he returns to his hometown, uh, and he's housed in like a kind of like a halfway house for political prisoners, and you're not quite sure to begin with exactly why he's there and what's happened. So I can't say too much without spoiling things. It all kind of gradually unfolds from there. And but you also, after a short while, you do find out that there are some people being sent to kill him, and you also find out a lot of other little stories going around. And that's one of the things I loved about the film. I think the film's fantastic. It deserves the praise it's getting. And one of the things I love is its cast of characters. It's quite a long film. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Um, and there's a lot of different characters kind of interwoven into the film, and there are a lot of interesting characters, a lot of fun characters. So it's just one of these things. Despite the length, I was totally hooked from start to finish, just learning about these different people, and also it kind of it holds its cards close to its chest a lot of the time. So as you say, you don't originally know exactly what's going on with this Armando character, so that's slowly fed to you, and which again kind of keeps you engaged. And I just thought it was stunning. It's got it throws a lot of little unusual little curveballs at you, some stylistic curveballs, and as well some narrative kind of curveballs. Um, and yeah, I just thought it was fantastic. My only kind of, and I can't say too much without, I don't want to spoil the film again. The only part at the end, the only part of the film that kind of, I don't know if it let me down, but it just was quite jarring is the ending. The ending, I can't really say what happens, but it has got quite an unusual, abrupt and quite jarring ending that I'm not quite sure if it settled with me properly. It took me it made me think though, I kind of got where what it was trying to do, but I wasn't 100% sold on that. But that was the only thing really. The rest of the film was so strong, I can kind of forgive it for its unusual kind of way of tying things up. But otherwise, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And I don't know if anyone else has seen it. I think it's been out in the US, but I might be wrong.
Nope, I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's supposed to get at least a picture, actor, and original screenplay uh, nomination. It is on the short list for Best International Feature,
Mm.
but I think it's supposed to lose to It Was Just an Accident right now. But we
Yeah,
don't have the
possibly.
final nominations, but we just have the short list.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it didn't get at least a nomination.
Yeah.
Well, Howard, what other Oscar bait have you seen?
Well, oops, gotta go back. There I am. Well, I guess I'll go with Frankenstein. Uh, have we all seen it?
I
Yes, and
have
it was
I,
on my
I've
list of
seen,
I
things
I've
to
seen
talk
it.
haven't
about
had a
too.
chance yet,
yeah,
but
I've not seen it.
I was sort of surprised. I would be surprised that not too many people haven't. Um, this is one that still looks like it's going to do fairly well at the Oscars, especially in the technical aspect, and with supporting actor, but and picture. But I think Guillermo del Toro is falling by the wayside now. Um, I like the second half very much. The first half didn't really do much for me. It's one of these again. Victor Frankenstein is a very boring and uninteresting character. I couldn't, I had no emotional investment in him. It also is one of these films where there's a woman that everybody is mad about, Mia Goth. I have no idea why, because she's even more boring than everybody else. Um, Christoph Waltz and the other guy is are really good. But for me, the second half becomes very moving and deeply emotional, especially the scenes with the blind man. But by the time it reaches its end, I was very moved by it overall. Jacob Elordi is great.
Well, it's a fantastic looking film for sure. And
Yes.
I think we talked briefly about it. It's kind of the same way I thought we talked about the Kiss of the Spider Woman at on one of the earlier shows. It was not a main feature, but something that came up in our discussion. And I I understand that you appreciate the second half more than the first half. It makes complete sense because the monster's a more interesting character than Victor Frankenstein is. But I like the
Yes.
setup very much, and I like the fact that Christoph Waltz's character means something in the first half of the movie and nothing, of course, after uh, in the second half. And I like the fact that they tell the story, looking at it back from two different perspectives, and we're in the same place. I thought the opening of the film with the ship caught in the ice was spectacular, and with
Yes.
the monster raging and everybody trying to figure out what the heck was going on. Um, my Frankenstein is my daughter's favorite book, and she really liked the film, but she had reservations about it that I don't understand. So I don't know I couldn't express what they were. I had no reservations. I like this film very much. This is one of my favorite films of the year.
I think it's much closer to the book than any Frankenstein I've ever seen,
Yes,
but it
yes,
has been a long time since I've read the book. And I also thought it was very clever the way the first half is Victor Frankenstein's story and the second half is the creature story. I thought that was
yes.
very clever.
I
Yeah, I
agree.
like the way you did also. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll move on then. And speaking of Frankenstein and monsters, I've got a monster to talk about here. It's going to be a monster at the box office in the next week or two. It's doing the usual thing that happens. I don't I didn't hate the movie. I enjoyed watching it. I just don't care about it. But it's one of those things that shows up apparently every once in a while, and we're going to, I don't want to say suffer through it, but you're going to want to feel like you need to see it. And that's Avatar: Fire and Ice, or Fire and
I
Ash,
don't
I
need
should
to
say.
see it.
It it's
I don't need to see it.
it's great looking. It looks
Yeah.
terrific.
It
Watching it,
it was amazing. It was amazing.
I'm going. There's so much creativity that's poured into the look of this film, and the technical stuff that they're doing is phenomenal. I just don't give a damn about the story or the characters, which is really, damaging to my long-term appreciation of the films. I think I saw. Here's the story: the original Avatar. When, the only copy of Avatar that I've ever owned was the free copy that came with the first smartphone that I bought. It was on the phone.
Perfect movie to watch on a phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And I never did, and I never missed it, because I'd already seen it in the theater, and that's the place where you want to see these things. I saw this one in 3D in IMAX on the big screen. It was a great experience, and I'm done with it. I don't need to see it again. It's not to me. It
I
doesn't feel like it's rewatchable. It's just
Well,
it's
you're gonna have to rewatch it before number four comes out to refresh your memory of the whole story, won't you?
You would think so, but I
yeah.
didn't. I didn't watch the last one to refresh my memory of what was going on, and because I didn't care.
Now, see, I did, and
So did I.
I was this is one that I was thinking about maybe bringing up here today as well. Um I'm with you, Richard, because though when I've watched these films, I have enjoyed them immensely. They do kind of disappear from my mind after watching them. I while there's other franchises that have been out in the last year or so where I did not feel the need to revisit the previous chapters, I was like, I'm going to rewatch the Avatar movies before I go see Fire and Ash because I'm not clear on some things. And I was conveniently sick the week before. And so I had time sitting in my room. And so I watched the first two films again. And I enjoyed Fire and Ash. I mean, I think having seen Way of Water so recently, I mean, literally a day or two before I went to see it, I actually think I enjoy Fire and Ash a bit more than Way of Water, though I will 100% admit Cameron's pretty much doing the same story again.
Yeah.
And he resorts to some of the same plot devices. I mean, it's like right when you think, oh, this movie must be winding down, but no, there's still another 45 minutes to go. All he has to do is have the bad guys kidnap a kid, and we get what we need to keep the movie going for another 45 minutes.
Right, and let's which kid is getting kidnapped each time.
Right, right. But at the same time, I'm like just so enthralled with what I'm seeing. I think this is a really interesting use of the technology. It's an interesting just the creativity involved with creating this world and the way they keep expanding on it. I think one of the things that grabbed me the most on this one is the villain. I think that Una Chaplin was wonderful in this film. I just thought, you know, moving beyond Stephen Lang being the main baddie and bringing in an evil Navi of some sort, I thought was a great stroke. And she does something here that is, very different from what we're seeing from Zoe Saldana and the other folks that are doing the mocap thing here. So yeah, I enjoyed, it was 3 hours well spent for me. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, so for me, I like Todd just said, I rewatched both movies that day, so they were really
oh my
fresh in my
Oh
mind.
gosh.
wow.
Yeah.
That's a long day.
I also was conveniently sick, so I was on the last day of being sick. So I said, all right, I'm gonna at the end of I'm gonna go. I think I went to a 4:30 showing because it was again it's a 3.5 hour movie. So I said, all right, I'm gonna so I spent the morning watching the first one, the beginning of the afternoon watching the second one, and I really had it all fresh in my mind. And I gotta say, I mean, I disagree with you guys with on some of these aspects here because first of all, obviously visually it's amazing. I agree, but Cameron definitely knows how to tell a captivating story. Even if he's reusing things, it doesn't matter. You still are sitting there and you want to know what's going to happen to these characters. You want to know what's happening within this world. Yes, they have a lot of you know. They throw out all these what are they called? What Hitchcock always talks about?
MacGuffins.
MacGuffins.
Exactly. There are tons of MacGuffins in the movie, and there's tons of things that aren't really explained fully, but we don't need to know about them. But I found it so enjoyable sitting there, and I didn't feel that, oh wow, I can't believe there's another 45 minutes going on. It was like I would say, wow, there's another 45 minutes going on. Where are they going to take this? And that's the thing. And so for me, the fact that he still has two other stories somehow mixed into this is just great. And I loved also how up until now we only saw humans that were evil, but here we now get to see Navi that are evil, and you see them sometimes working together, sometimes not working together, and again, it was just uh, so fun watching him do all these switcheroos. The one thing I found annoying was I'm also a big fan of Titanic, and I found two callbacks to things that happened in Titanic that just really bothered me. But whatever. One of them is when people are on like a sort of boat that's floating away. They have to go to the side and start waving to everyone. You know, that like shot at me that was that's Fabio and Fabrizio and Leo on that one, and then the final scene of this movie is very reminiscent of the final scene of Titanic, where you see all the people who have died, and it was just like really weird the way they did it.
Mm.
You
There's
know,
an
I
there's an
remember,
aliens callback in this movie too. Which,
yes. Oh well, of
yeah,
course. Come
yeah.
on.
well, when I saw the original, I thought the 3D was really effective and really interesting and was the only interesting thing about the movie. When the second one came out, people are saying, "Oh, it's going to be in 3D," and I said, "Yeah, but the characters are only going to be in 2D," and I never watched it.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
haven't had a chance to see the new one yet, but I am with Rob in terms of the other ones. I think I don't know. They're again, yeah, they're generic stories, but I think they're well told stories, and I just find the world. I love the kind of immersive quality of them. I do agree, though, with Richard in that they're possibly really just designed for the theaters. I do have them on Blu-ray. I've got them on 3D Blu-ray, so I can still kind of almost experience the same sort of thing. But I haven't actually got around to watching them. And but yeah, these films are all about watching them on the biggest screen you can find in 3D. And
Yeah.
the experience, I just find it an amazing experience watching these films, even if yeah, you could pick holes
Yeah,
in them. You
I,
could
I
say
enjoyed
they're
the I
generic,
enjoyed the
but
movie
yeah.
while I was watching it. I wasn't bored while I was watching it. I just none of it felt compelling to me. And
Mm.
if it ended tomorrow, if it ended now, I'd be perfectly fine with that. It's not as if there was something else that I need to know about what's going on in
Oh,
this world.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I guess
this one does. I mean, if he ended things here, he could with the way he ends this one. So yeah.
Which
yeah.
I think he did that on purpose. I think he decided. I remember reading somewhere that two and three were set up with as an arc that you theoretically can end it with this arc if you need to.
Hmm.
All right. Well,
So,
I'm all for him
but
ending it with this arc and getting back to True Lies 2.
we'll
Yeah.
have to.
All right. Well, like I didn't mean to sound like I was dissing Avatar. I just
I did.
We all
uh
know who you are, Howard. It's okay.
I just I'm not in I'm just surprised that it does so well when I'd never found it as like I said, it's the experience. I guess
Never
that's
underestimate James
no,
Cameron. I
and
mean,
absolutely not.
yeah.
Never, never, never. I got you.
Yeah,
You
you can
know,
go back to
I
1997 and
not
think that
not going to
everyone who
predict a
laughed at
failure
them.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. It is like an
Exactly.
event, I guess. It's like an event because it is a big thing that is best at the cinema. I think that's
Which is a
why they
good
do so
thing.
well.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
we want
I,
people to look forward to a movie. We want people to go out and say,
yeah.
"Here's something that I need to see at a theater so that I need to be engaged in the world of movies some way, shape, or form." So that
And
part is
plus,
great.
yeah, and plus, I don't want to keep talking about Avatar now, but yeah, plus, I think it probably helps that he doesn't make them that quickly, so you've got a long wait, so you get more excited. Whereas, I don't know, something like the Marvel films can be a bit too churned out, and you get a bit bored of them. Whereas if you've got those few years in between, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to watch another
So this
Avatar
has
film.
got to
So
be about the
yeah,
quickest Cameron has ever been. I mean, this is only a
yeah, probably,
3-year gap. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Mm.
Solid stuff. Rob, we're back to you. What are you going to be talking about next?
Is this my final one?
Well, let's say yeah, let's make this your last one. We'll just do three. That I think that's
All
plenty
right.
for the show.
Okay, so I'm actually going to go with a Stephen King favorite of mine from the Bachman books, the Running Man,
ah,
which which it's I'll, well, okay, so the Running Man came out in mid-November, and having just seen not long beforehand the Long Walk, which is also another one of the Bachman books. I was very pleased that they both of those came out finally being faithful to the the novellas. Okay, as a kid, I loved reading the novellas of Stephen King in general, but the Bachman books were just amazing to me. And two of the stories were The Long Walk and The Running Man. And then when Schwarzenegger's movie The Running Man came out, which is based, and I'm putting that in big quotes, based on the story, it was nothing like the story, the novella at all. They used like the same name, and that was it. Uh, I'm a really big fan of the Schwarzenegger Running Man. It's a very fun movie, and it's also very prophetic about how much people are going to enjoy reality TV game shows and things like that, which nobody really knew in 1987 that was what was going to happen. But so here we are, 2025. They take two of those stories and they do amazing jobs by putting them on by translating them to the screen. Uh, Stephen King's books are not easy to translate into the screen because he is such an amazing writer who gives so much detail of his characters and everything going on that you're never able to satisfactorily put it to screen. I think the late great Rob Reiner probably was one of the closest with what he did in Stand by Me and Frank Darabont in Shawshank. I think those are the two closest, in my opinion, to really getting the spirit of what's on the pages. Um, Both of these, they're not amazing movies. Neither The Long Walk or The Running Man, but they're great stories, and they're told in really interesting ways about uh, you know some sort of type of dystopian future with different things. So The Running Man is basically about a guy he needs he's a former I believe he's a former soldier, maybe he's a former policeman, no, a former soldier, I believe, and he he needs to try and find a way to make money for his family, and you can go on reality TV and do so. And he volunteers. Uh, he wants to be on some a relatively easy show, but the showrunners see how amazing he is and decide that they're going to put him on their primetime show, The Running Man. Which the idea is you have 30 days to survive anywhere in the country, but every day you have to send in a video for like I think 2 minutes or something like that. Which obviously they used to track you, but whatever. That's a separate issue. Have any of you seen this movie?
Yes.
Yes. And
I
Okay. Have you read the novella?
no.
no.
Okay. So it's very true to the novella with a lot of parts of it, which is amazing. Except for the end. The end's a little different. But they did that in the Long Walk also. They changed the ending. Whatever.
Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, good.
I enjoyed The Running Man for the most part. I think if you look at it as just a a fun action romp, it certainly gets the job done there, and that's kind of what I enjoyed the most about it. I was a bit frustrated with it because the thing that had me intrigued the most about the fact that they were going to be doing a new version of The Running Man is that it was going to be directed by Edgar Wright. And I have immense respect for the guy. I enjoy a lot of his movies. I think he's wonderful when I hear him discussing other films and the films that inspired him and things like that. But this did not feel like an Edgar Wright film, and that was my biggest problem with it.
My finger is on my nose right now.
I wanted to see his kind of take on this. And aside from the scenes with Michael Cera, this does not feel like an Edgar Wright film. So while I enjoyed myself, it was not quite what I wanted it to be.
That's exactly the way I felt about it. I was surprised to say that it does my quote from my review says it's quite good, but it doesn't feel particularly like a Wright film. There's some good stunt sequences in the film, but I didn't find them manically amusing. Like the chases in Baby Driver were so great,
Mhm.
and this just seemed like it was, let's get to the next car chase kind of thing. It just nothing in it felt organically funny, amusing, unique, exciting. It just felt like it was well done. I didn't have any criticism about the technical stuff. Just there was nothing added to it that felt like it was a Edgar Wright film.
Mhm.
And my favorite thing about the film was Coleman Domingo.
Oh yeah.
He leans into his character and plays that part really well. And I love the backstory that they have about the types that they try to get on the show. That I thought,
Oh, that reminded me of like a podcast,
yeah.
just doing just
Yeah, I do
uh
the same thing when I'm casting the podcast. Let me get the iconoclast who's going to not like anything. Let me get the person who never can shut up about anything, and let me get somebody who is rational enough to sit between the two of those people and try and hold it together. By the way, that is not true. I just take human beings that are interested in being on the show. So none of you were cast for the show. Sorry.
I won't take offense to what you just said about me.
Todd, Todd's turn. Todd, we're going to have you do one more film. So
Well,
looking at your list, what do you got?
let's go a bit trashy this time, and this is not necessarily a recommendation, but it's something I saw recently that I feel like talking about. So let's talk about The Housemaid, um, which before going to see this, I mean, I saw the trailer play a number of times this fall. I did not realize until probably like a few hours before going to see this that it was directed by Paul Feig, which did not raise my hopes. I do not think that Paul Feig is a particularly talented director. Um, he has, in my opinion, lucked out a few times. But anyway, we won't. I don't let me get started on Ghostbusters. But this film I mean, it is just this trashy thing. I mean, it involves a wealthy family. The wife, who is played by Amanda Seyfried, hires a woman with a who is just out of prison. She doesn't know that, but Sydney Sweeney plays her, and she's going to be doing stuff around the house, taking care of the kid, things like that, cooking meals. And of course, there's a hot husband, and things start to present themselves, and there's all these dark quarters that the movie goes to. I mean, it is basically a Lifetime movie, except that it's bloodier, it's got more F-bombs, and Sydney Sweeney gets naked. Otherwise, it's a Lifetime movie. But I don't know. It's something that as I was watching it, I was like, this is not good. I can't sit here and say this is a good movie, because I think Paul Feig is trying to play it straight. But as I started to shift the way I was watching the movie, and I started to go, if I look at this as a comedy, it actually starts to work more. Now, I don't think that Feig is adept enough to be doing that. I don't think he's intentionally trying to make this a comedy, but I think that as I looked at it that way, I started to have a little bit of a guilty grin about this film. So I do think that the two leads develop nice performances. Both with a chance to do some things that are a bit sinister. But yeah, I think this is a movie that you have to approach it in a certain frame of mind to enjoy it, and I don't think that it's the frame of mind that the filmmaker intended you to watch it with. So take that for what you will, I guess.
Well, I haven't seen it yet. I am interested in seeing it, and I'm interested in seeing it for the two reasons that have been mentioned. I've had a crush on Amanda Seyfried for 10 years, and I've got a crush on Sydney Sweeney. So, I don't care if it's trash. I want to see the two of them in a movie together. You know, I just think they're very attractive young women who have a certain aura about them, and I've enjoyed the movies that I've seen them in. So, you know, if it's not too politically incorrect to say, I'm looking forward to looking at this movie. David, you got a final film that you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, I've got a final one, and this is another one I kind of managed to catch early, and that is If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which I think has had an American release fairly recently. So yeah, this is written and directed by Mary Bronstein, and stars Rose Byrne. And Rose Byrne plays a mother who's kind of on the verge of a breakdown. Her daughter's got a mystery illness that's never quite explained, that involves having to be fed through this tube. Um, her husband's away. He works in the Navy. I think he's and well no, it's not the Navy. I think he basically is a captain of a ship. Anyway, he's away on the ocean somewhere. It might be the Navy. I can't remember. Anyway, and yeah, and some other things that goes wrong. It's just kind of things just keep getting piled on her, and as she kind of desperately tries to grasp onto her sanity. And meanwhile, she herself is a therapist, but she goes and sees her own therapist who works in the same kind of firm, or whatever, or across the hall, literally. And yeah, and it just kind of it follows her a crumbling psyche, really. And there's also at the same time there's a kind of a metaphorical hole. Um, well, sorry, no, an actual hole that works as a metaphor. In the film is near the start of the film. There's a giant kind of hole just appears in the roof of an apartment, which forces her to go and live in a hotel for a few weeks. And yeah, I enjoyed this quite a lot. It's kind of like it's hard to define, really, kind of a dark psychological drama about parenting with a hint of dark humor. It's kind of some of the on IMDb and stuff like class it as a dark comedy and a comedy, and it's like, yeah, there is some subtle humor in there, but it's very dark. I think being a parent myself, I think it kind of, although what she goes through is quite extreme, it still kind of spoke to me, kind of the dark, the kind of harder side of parenting, the kind of slog of parenting, not just the kind of fuzzy kind of lovey sort of dovey kind of side of having a family. And it kind of spoke to me in some ways in that. And it's all centered, and Rose Byrne is fantastic. It's a really strong central performance. You've got Conan O'Brien playing her therapist, which is an interesting
Yeah, that
kind
was
of
weird.
casting. It's a bit weird, but I thought it worked. And you've got the musician ASAP Rocky, who's playing a guy who's staying in the hotel nearby. Yeah, I thought, and I thought it was great. I again kind of really engrossed by it, even though it's quite disturbing in a way and kind of troubling. And it ends very well. I thought it was quite it kind of hit the landing. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this.
Sounds like Rob has seen it.
I've,
Not yet.
yeah, I've seen it. I actually found it really depressing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm not
I didn't,
surprised.
I didn't, I didn't, I didn't like it. I thought Rose Byrne did an amazing job, but the to me, I couldn't relate like you could with the story.
Okay. Maybe that says more about me and my parenting than anything else. Maybe I
Apparently,
should keep quiet.
Well, Howard, have you got something that you would like to finish off with here?
Yes, I'll stay with my theme of the Oscar gods giveth and taketh away. I'm going to start talking about one film, but quickly transition to another, so don't worry. I saw After the Hunt with what's her name?
Julia
Um,
Julia
Roberts.
Roberts.
Julie Roberts. And this was supposed to be a big Oscar movie. And then it opened. And I saw it and I said, I have no idea what this movie is about or what they're trying to say. It made no sense and the plot doesn't make any sense. So here we have one that was supposed to be everybody was looking forward to, and uh, uh, you know, it opened, and then all of a sudden nobody was talking about it. And then out of nowhere, for me at least, out of nowhere comes Train Dreams, which is one of the most beautiful and touching and emotionally rich movies of the year, and is now a big contender in the Oscars. It's basically a character study of a lumberjack from around, say, 1917, 1960, up until the 60s. It's not, there's not a strong central plot. It's just his life, and it's absolutely beautiful.
yeah, I really liked it also. I loved William H Macy in it too, and a like nice little
Yeah.
small part.
I was just about to say, William H. Macy has been
And he was
in
in
at
Running Man
least,
too.
yeah, he's in at least three of the films that have come up today.
Yeah,
Well, we talked about Train Dreams a little bit on the Hamnet show a week or two ago, uh, and some people saw parallels between the two stories. And I frankly have not seen the movie yet. A friend of mine had seen it and gave it a strong thumbs down, but the other people who've I've had on the show who've talked about it are quite enthusiastic about it, including you, Howard. So I'm inclined to give it a chance. I'm looking forward to seeing if I should trust one opinion more than another.
Mm.
Richard, I liked it also.
Good, good.
I know you don't trust my opinion, but that's fine.
It's okay. We've been doing fine on a lot of things here. Opinions are all shared and they're all working out pretty well. All right.
And if you do want to see it, it's on Netflix
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So
that's the thing that makes it more likely that I'm going to see it is that it's, available and I already have the subscription service, so I might as well take advantage of it. And if I
What's
don't like
stopping
it, I
me
can
from,
always turn it off.
and so that's what's stopping me from seeing it. It's frustrating because I don't actually have Netflix these days. But I thought it'd get a cinema release bit over here, but it doesn't seem to have done them. I'm hoping if it does well at the Oscars or does anything at the Oscars, it might get a kind of re-release down here. But we'll see, we'll see.
they maybe start playing all the Oscar nominations again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
so
think there's a
hopefully it gets a
theater
few.
Or
here who
I
tends
think
to
both
play
Sinners and something
those.
else were re-released recently.
Yeah, Sinner's
Mm.
going to do well, but it's all one battle after another this
I'm going to repeat the comment that I made on Hamnet. If one battle after another wins over Hamnet, I'm going to go to Hollywood and burn the whole place down.
year. Okay, I think you may have to do that.
Yeah, I know.
The only
Start,
the only other
start
possible
preparing.
outcome is Sinners will win.
Yeah, well,
That
Right
is
now
a
I'm pulling for
possibility.
Sinners right now.
I'd hope for that. Let's have an upset, and maybe because of the way the voting system works, they got the ranked voting. Who knows what's going to happen? It's all very
Well, that's an
spurry.
advantage for Sinners because it's
Yeah,
probably the
a lot of
least
people's second choice or third choice.
divisive.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got one that I don't think is particularly divisive. I don't know that I wouldn't classify it as Oscar bait, although some people might see it that way because it does star people who have been Oscar nominated. It's an audience-pleasing kind of film, and it's an odd audience-pleasing kind of film because it's old-fashioned mixture of drama and music and a little bit of comedy, and that's Song Sung Blue with Jackman, and Kate Hudson.
Haven't
And
had a chance yet.
uh,
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list. Something I definitely want to see.
I will say that I enjoyed it immensely. It's very entertaining. If you were at all a Neil Diamond fan, believe me, there's plenty to enjoy because it's like a karaoke experience. There's a lot of the songs being done, and they're being done in a style that seems to fit with the idea or the concepts of the songs. I like Jackman's character, you know, taking it seriously and treating it as more than just being an impersonator. And I think that that's kind of fun. And Kate Hudson is great in this movie. She is really good. And I think if there were going to be any attention paid to performances, that's maybe where it would be. But I don't think it's that kind of movie. This is the counter programming for the holiday season, where we're going to get something that isn't a spectacular science fiction experience. It isn't Oscar bait. It's just a movie that 20 years ago would have been perfectly fine, acceptable seeing in a theater, and everybody expected to enjoy it a bit. And now it's the kind of movie that you hardly ever see in theaters anymore because it's not the flashy sort of film that people love. I could easily have seen it ending up on a streaming service, and I'm just glad that it's getting a theatrical release and it's entertaining. Um, there are traumatic moments in the film. Things happen that are sad, and it's the kind of melodrama that you expect in a film like this. I have not seen the documentary that it's based on because it is based on a true story. So it sounds like it would be very interesting to do that, but I'm sure that they took a number of liberties in translating it to an entertainment as opposed to a documentary. And I think that they made good choices in doing so because I was very entertained. And I would strongly recommend it to people who are looking for something to enjoy when they're at the theater, not something to evaluate and criticize too deeply, but to have a solid emotional experience with for a couple of hours. All right. Well, folks, we've given you plenty of year-end recommendations here. Hopefully, you've got something that you've heard about that you're going to be willing to spend a little bit of time on. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break to hear from a fellow Lamb Podcasting Network show, and then we'll be back with the exit question of the week.
Hi, I'm Lisa Leahy, and I'm the host of Pictures and Conversations, a rabbit hole book club. Each month on the 20th, I'm joined by a group of fellow book lovers, and we discuss a book in our typically nerdy fashion.
As we continue to not talk about the book that we're not supposed to talk about. Anyway.
I admittedly too, I'm totally weird about the way I read things. Sometimes I just completely devour books, and I'm usually reading 3 or 4 at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I just pick up whatever strikes my mood. I have something I read before I go to bed at night. I read murder mysteries before bed.
But I liked it good enough. Like, no, it doesn't go super deep into developing these characters. Definitely not. Is it Harry Potter for adults? Absolutely not.
Anyway, you can find Pictures and Conversations, a rabbit hole book club podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts or on our home website, rabbitholepodcasts.com.
We're back, and it's time for the exit question of the week. Look, it's the end of the year, folks. People are doing end of the year lists and thinking about next year, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm thinking about next year. This is a real simple question. I bet everybody has the same answer. And if you don't have the same answer, I'll be surprised. What films coming out in 2026 are you most anticipating? All right. And I should say, besides The Odyssey.
I'm not looking that much forward to the Odyssey.
Okay, let's
No,
start
not
with
in those.
Howard because he's going to be our outlier on this one. Tell us, Howard, what are you looking forward to?
Well, it is interesting because I was watching uh, trailers and coming attractions to prepare for this, and it was really depressing. Not so much because I didn't see much that I wanted to see, but all these films coming up are really dark and full of chaos and everything falling apart. And I'm going, oh my God, is this a reflection
Of the world.
of our world right now? But there were two that did catch my interest. You might be surprised at them. The first one is The Beekeeper 2.
Ooh,
Jason
yeah.
Wait a
Statham's
minute. I didn't know
movie.
that this was happening. Wait a second. Where
Oh,
am
yeah.
I didn't know until I saw the coming attraction. Now, the coming
Oh,
attraction looks really good.
okay. Book me
And then
for
the
that
other
show
one,
right now, Richard. Okay.
Yes,
and
okay.
and for the other one, and no one judge me, Sheep Detectives, which looks absolutely hysterical.
It sounds like is that an animated film or is that something else?
No, it's Hugh
Well,
Jackman and Emma Thompson.
yeah, it's the sheep talk, but humans can't understand them. But Hugh Jackman treats them almost like they're human, reads mystery stories to them and everything. And he's found dead. And everybody's, I think, it's going to pass it off as not a suspicious death, and the sheep think, no, there's something here. They go out to start um, making sure the humans solve the problem. But it just looks hysterical.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. Todd, how about you? What are you looking forward to?
I mean, I certainly am looking forward to the Odyssey. I mean, Avengers Doomsday is an easy answer for sure, as is The Mandalorian and Grogu, just because I love all things Star Wars. Um, the Dune Part 3 or Dune Messiah, whatever they're gonna call it. Part of me is like, is it really gonna happen? Yeah, I mean, because it just seems like I'd be hearing more about it if it was happening this year. But supposedly it's supposed to come out the same weekend as Avengers Doomsday right now, so I guess we shall see. Um, and I'm very curious about what Greta Gerwig's going to do with the Narnia franchise. So I'm not exactly sure if they're going back to Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or they're starting somewhere else or whatever. But I am intrigued for sure.
I hope it's better than the last one, where they only got what through two of them, and
They
then
got through
They
that's it
three,
because
I think.
they weren't
Yeah,
doing
through
so
three.
they got through
well,
three. They went to three of them. Yeah.
and they were doing so badly. I think they finally gave up.
Yeah, I there was something that was going on there. The first and the second one did the first one did great business, the second one did moderate business, the third one didn't do much business at all. But I think there was also a studio change in there
Yes, there
somewhere.
was
Yeah,
a studio change that has since
Changed again.
changed again because Disney did the first two and Fox did the third one, and now it's all Disney anyway. So
David, what have you got to look forward to at the in the next year?
I'm quite looking forward to Project Hail Mary. I think that looks fun, and I've got faith in Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do live action. And Disclosure Day. I haven't actually watched the trailer yet, which might put me off. I don't know.
yeah, I haven't either.
But Spielberg, Aliens, yeah, I'm there. So yeah, I
Oh,
think those two I'm looking forward to.
I can't figure out whether I want to see it or not. The previews are just,
There's a lot of abstractness
oh
about
no.
what's going on, but we do know it's a sci-fi film.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a different one. I'm thinking of the Steven Spielberg one, the Hail Mary. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Project Hail
It
Mary
looks more interesting. Yeah,
is the Ryan Gosling film. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Rob, what do you got on your list of things that you can't wait to see?
Okay, well, as you guys all mentioned, we have the Odyssey on there. We have Avengers Doomsday. We definitely have Star Wars. Uh, we have the new Spider-Man movie coming, and I'm actually surprised that
Oh,
nobody has
good.
nobody's mentioned anything about Toy Story 5.
Oh yeah.
Because we didn't need
I
five,
just heard
think.
about it that it was coming out. So
Again, I always love seeing what they do with
Yeah.
the Toy Story stuff.
Mhm.
It's fun. It's
I've worried
uh,
about every Toy Story sequel that's come along, thinking, "Oh, please don't screw it up." And they've managed to hit it out of the park each time. And I'm just going,
Mhm.
I just worry that there's going to be one too often into the well and go, "Oh, why did they do it?" But on the other hand, they have pleasantly surprised me repeatedly, so I keep my fingers crossed on that one.
That is
Mhm.
true. That
right.
is true.
And I'm obviously also wondering what they're going to do with the Supergirl movie
Yeah,
because
I'm a little intrigued by
it,
that.
I'm intrigued. I can't say it's going to be amazing or anything like that, but you know, I'm still interested in seeing what they have to do because come on, any Supergirl movie will be better than the one from 1984.
Shut your mouth.
And Todd has an answer for you. You get Supergirl's name out of your mouth right now. Yeah, I I kind of understand, and I hope that it goes in the direction that I'm thinking that the whole point is that she matures a little bit instead of staying the self-indulgent tool that she is at the end of in the stinger on the Superman movie and the promo line that they're using. There's truth, justice, whatever. I'm just going. If it's going to be about somebody who's just a whatever kind of character, I'm going to have my difficulties with it. However, I'm hoping it's more Guardians of the Galaxy like, where we get
Yeah.
somebody who grows and becomes more invested in what's going on there. So I hope that it works. All right. And
Let's hope.
I've already mentioned, The Odyssey is the film that I'm most looking forward to, and I know that a lot of people are also looking forward to it. I enjoyed seeing the first 6 minutes or whatever it was that they ran with the Avatar movie on the IMAX, where we got to see the Trojan horse sequence. I thought that was quite spectacular. Um, I'm sorry that Troy fell. As a Trojan myself, it's always we're on the wrong end of that damn story, damn it. But it's a great story. And then I've got a couple of movies that I I hope they don't screw it up. I really want these movies to be as much fun as the originals were. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, and Violent Night 2.
Mm.
It's always tough with the sequel to figuring out how's it going to go. Um, Well, we had Sisu, for instance. We mentioned that. I know that David seemed to have liked Sisu Road to Revenge a little bit better than the first one. I liked it
Yeah.
very much. I think the first one gives us, because it's so fresh, I liked it more. And that was my problem with Nobody 2. Also, Nobody is, kind of out of left field, shows up and is great. And the second one, it just goes exactly where you expect it to go. So it wasn't quite as much fun. It was still fun, but not quite as much fun. And
I
I'm
have to
hoping
tell
that,
you, I
A lot
just
of
looked
fun.
up the plot for Violent Night 2, and it really looks like fun.
oh, good, good. Well, I hope that it all goes well. And of course, we've got at least a year before it's going to come out. It's not coming out before November, is it?
Yeah, it's
Oh, I don't know.
Easter weekend for that. Right.
Yes, that'll be our
Yeah.
Independence Day holiday film.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget they're doing a cliffhanger reboot. I don't know why, but whatever.
All right. Well, I want to give everybody a chance to share with the audience things that they might be working on, things that they want people to know about that they're involved with. Howard, I know your podcast isn't active, but I know that you are active on other podcasts. You've got something you want to promote?
It's been a while since I've even been on another podcast, but I think I think I'm about to start up pop art again because my health is just incredibly improved.
Good.
Glad to
Um,
hear
So
it.
happy to hear.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll probably be talking to you about that, Richard. So, but for right now, everybody just listen to the old episodes of Pop Art.
Fair enough. Rob, what have you got going on? I know one thing that you've got going on I need to talk to you about after the show.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And this week I've just started my run of season 11 of my podcast. Just this past Monday, you can catch the first episode of Band of Brothers Minute by Minute, where we will be looking at Band of Brothers 5 minutes at a time. And I also have some great interviews with people that are related to the story itself, either the men, the people, the actors, the story. So, feel free to go find Movie Rob Minute and look at season 11. You also watch the past 10 seasons if you want to catch up. That would be great too. But right now, Band of Brothers between now and July 4th, 2026 will be the final episode of that season.
Very nice. David, do you have 10 seasons as something that we should be looking back on, or you got something new to talk about?
No, although that does remind me that I need to go and rewatch Band of Brothers soon, ready for my every episode. But I've had a much needed week off over Christmas, not doing anything, but I will be back soon with plenty of reviews. I recently watched Walter John Huston's The Dead, and I'll have a review of that up maybe in a week or two when I can get out of goblin mode or whatever you call it. And and also early in the new year, I will have the usual Blueprint review of the year, where I get together everyone's kind of lists of favorite movies and put them all together. So yeah, look forward to that.
Yeah, we're going to be trying to do that next week on the Lambcast also. Right now, I only have two people. And remember, everybody who's listening, if you have a top 10 list, you can send it in as a MP3 file, or if you want to just send it to me, I'll read them and I'll put in this disparaging tone of voice for some of your choices if you want. Todd, you've got something that you want people to look at that's going on right now?
Yeah, of course, we've got episodes of the Forgotten Filmcast. We just released one this week with Jay Cluett. We're talking about a film from, I think it was 1987 called Prison, which is directed by, you guessed it, Rennie Harlan.
What a surprise.
And I've got some other ones in the can here already, but I haven't edited those yet, so I won't share what those are about. But yeah, there'll be more episodes coming up here soon. So yeah, check it out.
And you can listen to Todd on my show later this week.
That's right. Rob very
He's up to
nicely
episodes this
gave
week.
me the early chapters of Band of Brothers since I had never seen it before, and I couldn't promise I would be able to watch the whole thing before we recorded. So,
So Todd will be on episodes this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The first three, yeah. So Todd, did you finish watching it?
I have not finished watching it. No, Rob.
You still have time. You still have time.
Though you'll be happy to know my wife is pressuring me as well, because when I told her I recorded, she re-emphasized what we talked about on your show when she was like,
That Amy's already seen it.
yeah, and she's like, how have you not seen Band of Brothers?
Well, the world is actually full of people who are in that situation, and I'm one of them. But I'm catching up, and I hope to be joining the show sometime down the road. My episodes probably won't be until the middle of the year, so
No, you got February, but that's fine.
that's not quite the middle of the year, but it is still time away. Me,
It's your birthday time.
I'm yes, yes. I'm lucky if I know what I'm doing in an hour. Much less, this week or 2 weeks from now or a month from now or 6 months from now. Planning that far ahead is always difficult for me. As you can probably discover when you see my site, and I'm still behind, but I'm catching up. I still have a couple of reviews to put up. I still have my Avatar review to put up. I still have my review of Song Sung Blue to put up. Uh, I spent way too much time. I don't mean that. That sounds disparaging. I spent a lot of time this last year watching classic movies on big screens instead of new movies. I was just putting together my list of films that I watched, and I think I saw 60 new films in theaters, and I saw about 80 old films in
Oh,
theaters. So
you're the
Your TV
man.
makes me jealous. I don't live in Dallas.
it's a good experience for me. It's been moving here to Austin and finding the one
Austin,
theater
sorry.
there, the Paramount Theater. has been a blessing here in summertime because there are so many classic films that are being screened, and it gives me a chance to catch up. And Alamo is doing a good job on that programming as well. So there's always something coming up. But there's new stuff too, and we'll be doing new stuff soon. But I think January and February on the Lambcast, I don't think I have a single new film. I think everything that's scheduled is a special show, look back show, movie of the month, and maybe a franchise kind of thing. But I don't think there were any films opening in January or February that just jumped out and said, talk about me," which is typical because January and February are dead times at the movie theater. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this week. I hope that you heard some talk about a film that you'd be interested in seeing. And down the road, you'll be hearing about some other films, hopefully ones that we all liked, as opposed to something that we're dumping on. Until next time, bye.
You've been listening to the Lambcast. If you have an idea for a show or would like to join us on the Lambcast, contact us at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Find us on Facebook, just search for Lambcast, or on X, formerly Twitter, at Lambcast. And you can find us on YouTube as well. The Lamb site can be found at largeassmovieblogs.com. We'd also love it if you would leave a review on iTunes.
Ha 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 ha!